The women stood up and shot down the rapist in court, but why? In a small town where whispers carried more weight than words, justice was about to take an unexpected turn. This is the story of a courtroom drama that shook the very foundation of morality and revenge. But as you listen closely, remember this: not everything is as it seems. It all began on a cold, rainy morning in the courthouse. The air was thick with tension as people gathered for what they called the trial of the decade. A man named Victor Kane sat in the defendant's chair, calm, collected, almost smug. He was accused of raping and murdering a young woman named Lily Harper months ago. Everyone knew her name, everyone remembered her face from the news. Her death had left a gaping hole in the hearts of those who loved her. The prosecution painted him as a monster, presenting evidence after evidence: DNA matches, witness testimonies, even text messages linking him to Lily before she disappeared. Yet, there was no body. Without a body, the defense argued, how could anyone prove beyond doubt that Lily was dead? They claimed it was circumstantial, at best. And so, the case dragged on, day after day, testing the patience of everyone involved. Sitting quietly in the back row of the courtroom was a woman named Margaret Harper. She looked frail, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched a worn-out photograph of Lily. To most observers, she seemed like any grieving mother seeking closure. But if you looked closer, you had noticed something unusual: a strange intensity in her eyes, as though she were waiting for something specific. As the trial progressed, things took an unexpected turn. One afternoon, during cross-examination, Victor's lawyer asked a question that sent shockwaves through the room. "Isn't it true," he said, addressing the jury, "that Lily Harper is not actually dead, that she staged her own disappearance?" Gasps filled the courtroom. Even the judge couldn't hide his surprise. The defense then presented a series of emails allegedly written by Lily herself, claiming she wanted to escape her abusive family life. It was a bold move, one that threw the entire case into chaos. Suddenly, doubts crept into the minds of the jurors, and even some spectators started questioning whether Lily might still be alive. But here's the twist: Margaret didn't seem fazed by this revelation. In fact, she smiled faintly, almost knowingly. As days passed, the prosecution struggled to counter these new allegations. The media frenzy outside the courthouse grew louder, with headlines screaming about a possible hoax. Public opinion began to shift, and sympathy for Victor started to rise. Then came the moment no one saw coming. On the final day of closing arguments, just as the prosecutor stood up to deliver his last plea to the jury, Margaret rose abruptly from her seat. Before anyone could react, she pulled out a gun hidden under her coat and fired 2 shots directly at Victor Kane. Pandemonium erupted. Guards rushed forward, dragging Margaret away as she screamed, "You killed my daughter. You deserve to die." Victor slumped over the table, blood pooling around him. For a moment, time froze. Everyone stared in stunned silence, trying to process what had just happened. And now, dear viewers, comes the part of the story that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Because when the police searched Margaret's belongings later that evening, they found something shocking: a handwritten confession signed by none other than Lily Harper herself. In the letter, Lily admitted to faking her own disappearance. She wrote about feeling trapped in a toxic relationship with Victor, about fearing for her life if she tried to leave him. So, she planned her escape meticulously, staging her murder to gain freedom once and for all. But here's the catch: the letter ended with a chilling sentence. "I never imagined my mom would go this far." Yes, you heard that right. Margaret was not acting out of blind rage or grief. She knew the truth all along, that Lily was alive somewhere, safe and free. But instead of letting justice run its course, she chose vengeance. Why? Because she believed Victor deserved to suffer for the pain he caused her daughter, regardless of whether Lily lived or died. But wait, there is one final twist. Days after the shooting, investigators received an anonymous tip leading them to a remote cabin deep in the woods. Inside, they discovered Lily alive, but barely. She confessed that while she had indeed faked her death, Victor had tracked her down weeks later. He hadn't killed her outright but kept her captive, tormenting her until she managed to escape again. So, the question remains, was Margaret a cold-blooded killer, or a desperate mother driven to extremes by love and loss? Did she truly believe she was doing the right thing, or did she simply snap under the weight of her own secrets? The story doesn't have a clear hero or villain. It's a tangled web of lies, love, and retribution. And as you sit there pondering the moral ambiguity of it all, ask yourself this: if you were in Margaret's shoes, what would you have done? Because sometimes, the line between justice and revenge isn't just blurred, bit vanishes completely. What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.